Welcome to Fireside Knicks. My name is Alex. If you're new to the YouTube channel, make sure to like and subscribe below. Really appreciate the love. And today I want to talk about Cam Reddish, right? Knicks going out, in my opinion, they got a steal of a trade. You get Cam Reddish, Solomon Hill, you get a 2025 or some second round pick from Brooklyn. So you got some good pieces here. The Knicks obviously gave up Kevin Knox, who last year of his rookie deal, get rid of him. He was never going to stay on here as a long-term player anyway, and a 2022 first round protected pick via Charlotte. So what are you really getting back, right? You're trading away an unknown first round pick for Cam Reddish, who went to the Atlanta front office a couple months ago and said, hey guys, I kind of want a bigger role. I want to be more of a prominent player. I would appreciate if you guys tried to find a better opportunity for me. And of course, they went out and found the Knicks, who coincidentally they're playing on Saturday night. So Cam Reddish, what does he bring? And the purpose of this video is I kind of want to talk about how the Knicks, those draft pieces, those draft picks sometimes aren't that valuable. So maybe Cam Reddish could be used in a secondary deal. The Knicks don't really use small forwards that often in their combination. Maybe they want to add that. There's some good things that scouts and whatnot are saying about Cam Reddish. But I want to take a look at a couple of statistics that really stood out to me when I was looking at his game. So last year, he only played in 26 games, started 21 games. Dealt with an Achilles injury, kind of set him back pretty tremendously in his development and growth. But this year, he's actually seen a reduction in minutes played per game. So he's only playing 23.4 minutes compared to almost 29 last year, but he's averaging more points. And the reason for that is he's become a far better three-point shooter. He's averaging 11.9 points per game, and he's averaging 38% from three-point range compared to 26% last year. That is a pretty significant growth numerically, and I think that when you're looking at him and what the Knicks actually need moving forward from their players, they want better three-point shooting. Evan Fournier, he's listed as a shooting guard / small forward, so he can play that small forward role, but he's a little bit too heavy-footed. He's not fast enough to be a traditional small forward. Smalls are traditionally a little skinnier, quicker, pretty physical though. And Cam Reddish is a really good scorer. He has the talent and skill set. Even RJ Barrett was saying, the guy's super talented. Obviously, RJ Barrett played with him at Duke. But I think that Cam Reddish has a lot of untapped potential this team could exercise if they develop him and give him the right opportunity. Now, the problem is, once you get Derrick Rose back in a couple of weeks, once you get Kemba Walker back in a couple of days, hopefully, how does Cam Reddish get on the floor? How does he get playing time? Is this really the opportunity for him that he was looking for? Was he really like, yeah, I want to go to the Knicks? Is this an opportunity that he's saying I can actually become a bigger player here? Because the Knicks already have a lot of mouths to feed. You're talking about Emmanuel Quickly, Quentin Grimes, Miles McBride. Where does Cam Reddish fit into this mold? The player combinations. He could be a 3-and-D wing player, where he can make an impact as a three-point shooter, a decent defender. He's a good scorer. His field goals unassisted this year has skyrocketed to 50% compared to 40% last year. So he's seen a little bit more success in taking the ball on his own and creating opportunities for himself. Now, when you have a small forward, you do get a little bit more flexibility and versatility with those guys. They can pair up nicely with power forwards or whether it be shooting guards. You can kind of use him with a variety of different combinations. Power forwards like Obi Toppin and Julius Randle traditionally really are only kind of bully ball guys. They're more physical. And of course, Julius Randle is a decent three-point shooter. Obi Toppin's not doing so well from range this year. So I think Cam Reddish could be an intriguing 3-and-D player because the Knicks did lose, Reggie Bullock. They want Quentin Grimes to kind of fill that role, but he's inexperienced. Reddish has 3 years of experience. He's only 22 years old. He has another year on his contract before the qualifying offer in 2023. So when I'm looking at him, though, I don't know exactly how he fits. How is he going to get on the floor? Can he get 20-plus minutes per game? I'm not sure that we have that many to give. So that's why I kind of sparked my ideas, and I was like, hey, you know what? Why don't they consider trading him for a bigger name? That could be an immediate starter. If you're looking at a team like the Pacers, for example, the Knicks have been connected to Miles Turner for a couple of weeks. I think that when you're looking at what they really need, they want youth. They're rebuilding. So why not give them, because, Mitchell Robinson's had his fair share of issues. If the Knicks were to re-sign him or say another team, they were to trade him away, I do actually believe that Mitchell Robinson could be signed to a small extension, kind of a prove it type of situation. Because ultimately, when I'm looking at him, he hasn't proven over a large amount of time that he can be that great. Miles Turner's making $17 million a year. I think, they can maybe extend Mitchell Robinson for $8 million, $10 million max, and get a good player out of it for half the price, and especially in a rebuild. So I think that if the Knicks said, you know what, we want to go get Miles Turner, let's go out and trade Cam Reddish and Mitch Robinson as a duo, maybe throw in some draft picks. They have a ton of draft capital down the road. So then now you have your young guy. The Knicks didn't want to trade Obi Toppin. They didn't want to trade Quentin Grimes, Miles McBride, or Emmanuel Quickly. Those guys were kind of off the board. Cam Reddish is valuable. He's a good player. He's only 22. He's young. You can still develop around him. He wants a better opportunity. And I think that, when you're looking at the Pacers, he actually might be a good player for them because he can get opportunities. He can get minutes, more playing time, and, continue his development. So maybe the Pacers are looking at, Cam Reddish and saying, hey, maybe if you pair him with a Mitchell Robinson, maybe if you pair him with, I don't know, an Alec Burks, Mitchell Robinson, Alec Burks, Cam Reddish, maybe that trio is interesting. He's got to get some money off the books to fit prospective Miles Turner acquisition. Looking at Jeremy Grant, he's making some change too. So, he's a good player, averaging over 20 points per game. He's a guy that, isn't really shooting that great from three this year, kind of taking a step backward, but he's actually earning 20 million this year and 21 million next year. So he's making a lot too. So, if you're going to be trading for one of these guys, you have to find ways to get rid of some salary cap, which is kind of where I think that Alec Burks and Nerlens Noel maybe, and not trade Mitch Robinson, maybe trades Nerlens Noel. And, you try to get some of the money off the books for valuable pieces. But youth is really where I'm going with this. You really got to find young players. I don't really necessarily want to trade Obi Toppin quickly or any of the guys that we've homegrown. I'd rather go out and, trade a guy like Reddish who has never even played a game for us, and we don't know what he's going to be. And there's already enough mouths to feed around here. Let's see what a prospective deal could be like for that. And I think the Knicks might be considering that because logically it makes sense. They don't use small forwards in their combinations. They don't have any on the roster. Clearly, that's an analytical thing. The Knicks have taken a tremendously, kind of approach, like just a really, really ingrained approach into the analytics of the game and like what positions contribute the most. And I think that they really have been going with a lot of wingers and shooting guards instead of small forwards and stuff like that. So Cam Reddish, maybe not a good fit for us. We'll see. Maybe a couple games goes by. He's looking healthy. I know he's dealing with an injury right now, so he should come back soon. And Tom Thibodeau said he's going to have to fight his way onto the roster. That's not really what you want from a trade deadline piece, right? You really want a trade deadline piece if you're looking to be a contender in the playoffs. You want a guy who's going to come in here and start immediately or contribute immediately. You don't want a guy that Tom Thibodeau is going to say he's got to fight his way onto the roster. It doesn't really make sense to me. Why they would do that and why they would, is he going to make that much of an impact? Who knows? Is he going to average 12 points a game if he's not even reaching 20 minutes per game? Can he actually get momentum that way? Are his numbers going to maintain the same? He has to learn a new system. He has to play better defense, more energy there. So I wouldn't, push the idea of him being a trade piece now beyond, because I think Cam Reddish is worth more than an unknown draft selection because of his youth, because of his production, and because I think he actually is pretty damn good when at the top of his game and playing good basketball. So just an idea to consider. I really would love to hear your opinions on that. If you think that maybe the Knicks would consider trading him in a package deal for a bigger name who could actually make an impact now as a starter, or at least an even better role player off the bench. So intriguing ideas and prospects here. Love to hear your thoughts. Make sure to like and subscribe on YouTube as always, and have an awesome weekend.